As I finished work on my business trip, my phone rang. My 6-year-old daughter was sobbing, her voice shaking. "Mom, help me, they locked me out." "Where are you?" I asked desperately. She sniffled. "Alone in a dark park. I'm scared." I immediately called my mother. She spoke coldly. "Why would I keep her here while you're away?" I silently hung up. "My name is Jennifer Blake, and I'm 36 years old. I live in a quiet residential area in the suburbs of Chicago. I work as a marketing consultant, handling brand strategies for large corporations, somehow managing to earn a stable income. My college friend Amanda always says, 'Jenny, you're such a hard worker.' But even though I'm no longer a single mother, balancing work and family life isn't easy. The treasure of our home is my daughter Lily. She just turned 6 this year, a bright and intelligent child who loves reading at school and is described by her teacher as having a wonderful imagination. Lily particularly enjoys adventure stories like Alice in Wonderland and often says with sparkling eyes, "Mom, I want to go on adventures like Alice." At times like these, her smile washes away all my fatigue. My husband Michael works as a long-haul truck driver. With his sturdy build and warm smile, he's Lily's dependable superhero. We met after college graduation and built a relationship where we support each other's dreams. He loves his family and is a wonderful father, but due to the nature of his job, he's away from home most of the week. When he has long-distance deliveries to the West Coast 2 or 3 times a month, he might be away for 7 to 10 days. Still, on weekends when he's home, he makes the most of his time with Lily, taking her to the park or teaching her how to ride a bicycle. "Jenny, are you two going to be all right while I'm gone?" He always asks worriedly. And before leaving, he always lifts Lily high in his arms and promises, "Daddy's princess, I'll bring you a wonderful gift when I return." Lily adores her father and often says, "Daddy's like a superhero." I have a sister, Catherine, who is 3 years younger than me. She was raised to strive for perfection from a young age and still hasn't escaped that pressure. She married Stephen, a successful cardiac surgeon, and they make an impeccable couple at first glance. They live in a large brick house in an upscale neighborhood and send elaborate family photos as Christmas cards every year. They have a 7-year-old son named Tom. Tom is a bright child, but he sometimes seems to struggle under the weight of his mother's expectations. Catherine has always been obsessed with competing with me, playing what I call the game of winning Mom's love since childhood. I felt that Dad loved us equally, but it was different with Mom. Mother always treated Catherine as her special child. She never missed Catherine's violin recitals, but there were times she didn't come to my choir performances, claiming she had a headache. That wound remains to this day. Even now, Catherine criticizes my choices and tries to feel superior by asserting that her life is better. Every time she visits our home, she makes little remarks. "This sofa is getting quite old, isn't it?" Or, "Oh my, are Lily's toys scattered on the floor?" In her eyes, my house seems inferior. "Jenny, your job seems so demanding." Stephen received another bonus last week. "We're planning to use it for Tom's new piano lessons," she would say, always slipping in boasts during conversations. She acts as if her life is perfect, but I don't miss the fatigue and anxiety that occasionally appear in her eyes. "Stephen is so busy lately. He has an important role on the hospital's board of directors. But he never fails to attend Tom's games at least once a week. Isn't he a wonderful father?" she says, though it's common knowledge that Stephen is hardly ever home. Our mother, Martha Wilson, is a former high school teacher. She always keeps her grayish blonde hair neatly styled and values appearances in any situation. She casually wraps an Hermes scarf around her neck and almost never takes off her pearl necklace. She still lives in the house where we grew up in the Chicago suburbs. Our father, Robert, passed away 3 years ago from a sudden heart attack. He was the only one in the family who objected to Mother's bias treatment. With kind blue eyes and a warm smile, he would always whisper in my ear, "Jenny, you're special." Mother takes Catherine and Tom to Disneyland and shopping trips, buying them expensive presents. But with Lily, she casually says she forgot to send a birthday card. Even at Christmas, while Tom receives the latest gaming console, Lily gets an old picture book. "This is your present from Grandma, Lily," I say, and my daughter responds with a small thank you, unable to hide her disappointment. Seeing her small hands trembling as she receives the old picture book breaks my heart. "It's okay, you have nice presents from Mommy and Daddy too," I quietly say, hugging her. Watching this, Mother simply says, "Oh, is it the same book she's read before?" I didn't notice. Next to us, Tom shouts with joy over his new gaming console. "Grandma, you're the best." And Mother hugs him and says, "Only the best for you." Seeing those words, Lily's expression darkens even more. Despite such obvious discrimination, I've tried not to cut off Lily's relationship with her grandmother, believing in family bonds and hoping that Mother would change someday. "Grandma really loves you too," I would tell Lily, but doubt would appear in her wise eyes. Michael has pointed out many times that your mother isn't fair to Lily, and advised it's better not to be involved with her anymore. He particularly exploded with anger last Thanksgiving when Mother prepared a special dessert for Tom but gave Lily a regular one, saying it was for her diet. Talking about diets to a 6-year-old child, he shouted after we got home. Those days were about to change with one phone call. One week in October, I had to go to New York for a 3-day business trip for a major company project. Michael was in the middle of a long-haul delivery to the West Coast. The people I could ask for help at this timing were limited. "Mom, could you look after Lily for just 3 days?" I asked over the phone, and Mother immediately let out a dissatisfied sigh. After a moment of silence, she finally replied, "Well, Catherine's house is being renovated, so it would be difficult for her, I suppose. I guess I have no choice." In truth, Catherine's house was in perfect condition, but Mother seemed to need to make me feel like I was always the second choice. "Thank you, Mom. I really appreciate it. I'll bring her over at 9 tomorrow morning," I said. After hanging up, my stomach began to ache. While grateful for her response, anxiety swirled deep inside me. Lily felt the same way. After dinner, as I was packing her things in her room, she suddenly said in a quiet voice, "Mom, I don't want to go to Grandma's house," Lily said softly. She was sitting on the living room sofa, clutching her favorite rabbit plushie tightly. There was worry in her big brown eyes. "Did something happen?" I asked. Lily thought for a moment before answering. "Grandma likes Tom better than me. She always says, 'Tom can do this, why can't you?'" Those words hurt my heart. They were exactly what I'd heard as a child. "It's okay, I'll be back soon. Tom sometimes comes to play at Grandma's house, right?" I said, but Lily's anxious eyes tightened my chest. Then came the morning of my departure. Brilliant autumn sunlight streamed through the windows, filling the room with golden light. Lily ate her breakfast more quietly than usual, looking out the window repeatedly. "Lily, Mommy will finish work and come back soon," I said, gently stroking her hair. "It's just for 3 days. And if anything troubles you, call me right away," I said, putting a small cell phone in my daughter's backpack. It was a gift from Michael and me for her birthday, meant for emergency contact. "And do you remember how to use the recording app? If anything scary happens, press this button," I quietly explained. Seeing her worried face, I quickly added, "Of course, I don't think you'll need it, but just in case." Lily nodded slightly. "I just press here and here, like you taught me, right?" She confirmed. I had taught her this safety measure since there had been a bullying issue at school. 6 months ago, a boy in her class had torn up Lily's picture book, and I had taught her that it's important to keep evidence to protect yourself. I never thought it would be necessary against family. On the first day in New York, I received text messages from Mother between meetings. "Lily keeps making noise and I have a headache. This child is not disciplined. Tom came to play, but Lily doesn't want to share her toys. Catherine's parenting methods seem much better. Lily spilled milk in the kitchen. Tom would never do such a thing." My heart ached, but since I was at work, I could only reply briefly, "Lily is a child, please be kind to her." That night, when I called Lily, Mother said, "We're busy now, call later," and hung up. I was terribly worried, but when I called again, Lily said in a cheerful voice, "I'm fine, Mom." However, I could hear Catherine's voice in the background with Tom saying, "Is that child crying again? She's such a handful." Similar messages continued on the second day, and I could hardly talk to Lily. On the final day, after finishing my presentation and finally returning to the hotel, the phone rang. It was 7:30 in the evening. "Mom, help me. I've been locked out of the house." Lily was sobbing on the other end of the phone. Her voice was trembling, and I could hear the sounds of cars and wind in the background. "Where are you now?" I asked, my heart nearly stopping with fear. Lily answered through her tears, "Alone in a dark park." "I'm scared. Why are you outside? Where's Grandma?" My voice was trembling too. "Grandma told me to go play outside, but when I came back, the door was locked. I knocked but no one opened it." Lily's voice was broken. "I'll call Grandma right now. Don't move from there. Can you tell me which park it is? The one in front of Grandma's house, you know? The one with the blues swing." I immediately called Mother. After ringing several times, she finally answered on the 4th try. "Where is Lily? Why is she alone outside?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger and fear. Mother replied with surprising coldness, "There's no reason for me to look after her while you're away. Catherine and Tom came over, so I told Lily to go home. That child was just crying and making a fuss on purpose. She's only 6 years old, it's dark outside and dangerous," I shouted. "You're exaggerating. Tom is 7 and much more independent. Your parenting is too lenient," Mother responded calmly. "Let Lily into the house immediately. She doesn't need to be here anymore. Catherine, Tom and I are having dinner. Don't bother us." Trembling with anger and fear, I hung up without a word. I immediately called Lily back and told her, It's okay, Mom will come to help you. I'll contact the police. But Mom, aren't you in New York? Lily's voice was desperate. I'll come back right away. But now, I'll contact the police and have them take you to a safe place. With the phone still connected, I used another phone to call 911 and explained the situation. The police said they would head to the park, and I immediately arranged for a flight ticket. At that moment, Lily said in a small voice, Mom, you always taught me to use the recording app, so when Grandma was forcing me out, I recorded it. After a moment of silence, I answered, holding back tears. You did well, Lily. Mom will be back soon, just hang in there a little longer. We kept the phone connected as we waited for the police to arrive. When Lily said, a police car is here, Mom, I felt a bit relieved for the first time. The police officers protected Lily and arranged a video call with me. They said they planned to visit Mother's house as well. That night, in my hotel room, I called my husband Michael and explained everything. He was furious and immediately said, I'll come back first thing tomorrow morning too. The next morning, I returned to Chicago on the first flight. When I was reunited with Lily at the police station, my daughter looked tired, but she immediately ran to me. Mom. She clung to me and began to cry again. I couldn't hold back my tears either. It's okay now, Lily. Mom is here. The female police officer approached us. Your daughter spent last night in a short-term shelter. She's a brave child. Thank you. I'm truly grateful, I said. Can you tell me exactly what happened? The officer's expression turned serious. We visited your mother-in-law's house. She claims that Lily is an undisciplined child and I thought she was just playing outside. However, leaving a 6-year-old child alone outside at night clearly constitutes child abandonment. Then Lily said in a small voice, Mom, do you want to listen to the recording? The sound that played from Lily's small cell phone made us all hold our breath. Lily, you should go play outside. Tom is coming and you're in the way. But it's getting dark. You'll be fine. Come back in 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes later, the sound of knocking on the door. Grandma, I'm back. Be quiet. We'll pretend we can't hear her. Is she still outside? That's funny. Mom, that's a bit be quiet. This is for your sister's child's discipline. I want her to grow up to be as good as your daughter. And then the most shocking part, that child doesn't fit in this family anyway. Lily is proof that Jennifer failed. You and Tom are successful, but Jennifer and Lily are failures. This will teach her a lesson. When the recording ended, the room fell silent. Even the female officer was visibly disturbed. Mrs. Blake, this is evidence of child abuse. Will you press charges? At that moment, Michael burst into the police station. He had been in the middle of a long-distance drive from the West Coast but came back immediately. He hugged Lily, and when he heard the contents of the recording, his face turned red with anger. We can't let this stand, he shouted. We consulted with a lawyer and reported to Child Protective Services. The lawyer said, this is clearly child abandonment and emotional abuse. That afternoon, we went to Mother's house. Following the lawyer's advice, we were prepared to record all conversations. Mother opened the door and pretended to be surprised to see us. Oh, Jennifer, you've overreacted. It was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Michael said in a low voice. Locking out a 6-year-old child at night is a misunderstanding? Lily was just playing outside. It's not such a dangerous area, Mother made excuses. At that point, Catherine appeared and, after understanding the situation, took her mother's side. Jenny, you always play the victim. Mom was just helping with Lily's discipline. Tom wouldn't behave like this. Martha, reassured by her daughter's support, began to make excuses. Tom is a boy, so he's more independent. Have you heard the recording? I asked calmly. Then I played the recording from Lily's phone. The blood drained from Martha and Catherine's faces. Especially when they heard the word of failures, Catherine was visibly shaken. This is edited, Martha said weakly. No, it's all real, Michael said sternly. The police and social workers have already heard it. Catherine looked at her mother with a confused expression. Mom, did you really say these things? Martha stumbled over her words for the first time. You wouldn't understand. Jennifer was always treated specially. She was Dad's favorite. I just saw you abuse your granddaughter? Michael could barely contain his anger. For the first time, Martha's stubborn attitude cracked. It's not abuse. Abandoning a 6-year-old child outside at night is abuse, both legally and morally. I sit quietly but firmly. We're taking legal action, Michael declared. We've already reported to Child Protective Services, and Lily will never be placed under your supervision again. Martha turned pale and sank into a chair. Surely not, we're family. That's exactly why you have more responsibility, I answered. All children should be loved regardless of gender or preferences. Lily is your granddaughter, yet you put her in danger. And Catherine, you've been complicit in this treatment. Catherine tried to object, but Michael quietly said, in the recording, you did voice an objection. But it wasn't enough. You prioritized your relationship with your mother over Lily's safety. As we were leaving, Martha suddenly stood up and said, "Wait. I'll apologize. Please forgive me." Turning back, I responded with a firm attitude. "Apologies are shown through actions, Mother. For now, please keep your distance from us. And if you truly want to change, seek professional help." From that day on, our family relationships fundamentally changed. The recording was preserved as evidence, and Martha lost her grandchild's supervision rights. Word of this incident spread through her social circle, and her reputation plummeted. This was a painful turning point, but in retrospect, it was a necessary change for Lily and our family. 2 weeks after the incident, Martha tried to visit Jennifer's house to apologize. Michael had taken time off and was at home. He stood firm at the door and resolutely refused, saying, "Please stay away from our family." Lily had begun sessions with a psychologist, trying to overcome the effects of verbal abuse from her grandmother and aunt. "Daddy, I have scary dreams." There were several times when Lily woke up crying in the middle of the night. Michael and I took turns sitting by her bedside, reassuring her, "It's okay now, no one will hurt you." Dr. Jones, the counselor, explained to us, "Lily is a resilient child, but it will take time to regain trust. Especially, experiences of rejection from family leave deep wounds." Catherine continued to defend Martha, making things worse by posting on social media that my sister is pretending to be a victim and tearing the family apart. There were also calls from several relatives saying you should reconcile. "They can't understand," I told Michael. "They haven't heard the recording." Michael applied for special leave from his company and switched to local jobs for the time being to protect his family. He spent more time with Lily, deepening his bond as a father. "Daddy, I was chosen for the library committee at school today." Lily gradually began to regain her spirit. However, the issues weren't over yet. The recording began to spread on social media, and Martha and Catherine's reputations rapidly deteriorated. Catherine's friends began to distance themselves, and even the parents of Tom's friends started to avoid her. One day, Catherine suddenly called. "Are you satisfied, ruining my life?" she accused, crying. "Catherine," I said calmly, "this isn't something I did, it's the consequence of your actions." "Tom is being bullied," she shouted. "Kids at school are asking him, 'Is it true your grandmother abuses children?'" For a moment, my heart ached. Tom was innocent. "That's unfortunate. But you should teach Tom the truth, and use this as an opportunity to learn from wrong actions." Martha became socially isolated, avoided by her friends. She was excluded from church groups, and removed from community volunteer activities. She finally began to understand the severity of her actions and started sessions with a psychologist, facing her biased thinking and behavioral patterns. Meanwhile, Catherine was warned by her husband Stephen, "If you continue to be involved in this problem, we'll need to reconsider our relationship." As a doctor, he understood the seriousness of child abuse. "Tom was also being teased at school about your grandmother abandoning your cousin in the park, and the situation became serious." Finally, Catherine had to face reality, and one day visited my house without warning. "Let me talk," she said. When I saw her at the doorstep, her usual perfect appearance was gone, replaced by an exhausted look. I invited her into the living room, and for the first time, she showed tears. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Why have you always taken Mother's side?" I quietly asked. After a long silence, Catherine answered, "I didn't want to admit what Mom did to me." "What do you mean?" "Mom has continued to pressure me. You must be perfect. I always criticize you because I can't be free like you." I was jealous. With that confession, some of the long-standing tension between the sisters seemed to dissolve. Several months later, Martha sent an apology letter to Jennifer and Lily, written with the help of professionals. It contained sincere reflections and apologies. "I was wrong. Out of prejudice and jealousy, I hurt my beloved granddaughter. I may not deserve forgiveness, but I want to change." After careful consideration and discussions with Lily, Michael and I made a decision. While emphasizing that family repair is important, but Lily's safety and peace of mind are the top priority, Michael suggested, "We might start with limited contact." "Lily, what do you think? Do you want to see Grandma?" I asked, and after thinking a bit, my daughter answered, "I'm scared. But if Daddy and Mommy are with me, I might be okay." The first reunion was arranged at a neutral location with a counselor present. Martha was waiting for us at a cafeteria, looking nervous. Lily was initially fearful, but Michael and I sat close beside her, providing a sense of security. "Lily, I'm sorry." Martha's voice was trembling. "Grandma did something wrong." Lily remained silent, gripping my hand tightly. "It will take time," I told my mother. "Once trust is broken, it doesn't return easily." Martha nodded. "I understand. No matter how long it takes, I want to make amends." Whether this would be the first step toward repair was uncertain, but at least a path to facing the truth had been established. The relationship with Catherine was also beginning to improve. She had started psychological therapy herself, and begun teaching Tom the importance of respecting others. Through this difficult experience, our family learned what true bonds mean. They're not just about blood relations, but about relationships where we respect and protect each other. 2 years later, our lives had changed significantly. I had taken a position as a marketing director with better conditions, and Michael had found stable work at a local transportation company. We had moved to a new house, physically distancing ourselves from past trauma. Lily was now 8 years old and had regained her former brightness. She was enthusiastic about library committee activities at school, and was described by her teacher as someone who brightens the classroom. Sometimes she still showed anxious expressions, but they were gradually decreasing. "Mom, I wrote an essay today in class on how to protect yourself," the teacher said. "You've learned something very important," Lily reported proudly. Michael had made spending time with his family a top priority, reducing long-distance routes, and trying to have dinner together as much as possible. He had chosen his family over his career, but strangely, his evaluation at work had improved. His boss reportedly said, "Employees who value their families are trustworthy. Since that incident, I've realized what's truly important," he often said. "You and Lily are the treasures of my life." Martha had begun volunteer activities at a senior center in her new residential area, and was modestly supporting group discussions on building healthy relationships between grandparents and grandchildren, learning from her mistakes. She no longer stood at the forefront, but was influencing other seniors by sharing her experiences. Admitting mistakes and apologizing is one of the most difficult things, she spoke to the group. But that's the beginning of healing. I hurt my granddaughter, and lost my family's trust. It was a painful journey, but by facing myself, I was able to change little by little. She slowly sat down in a chair and took a deep breath. As a child, I was taught by my parents that I wasn't worthy of love, especially from my mother. I only received conditional love. "You'll be loved if you become better." I carried that wound as I became a mother and grandmother. A man in his 70s who was participating in the session said with tears, "I did the same to my son. Now he won't see me." Several participants were crying at her words, especially those struggling with relationships with their children or grandchildren. Martha's honest confession seemed to resonate with them. After the session, several people approached her personally. "Hearing your story, I feel I might be able to change too," one grandmother said. Martha quietly nodded at those words. One day, when I visited Martha's house, I noticed new photos adorning the wall in her living room. Pictures of her 2 grandchildren, Lily and Tom, were displayed side by side. I felt warmth in my heart noticing that both photos used the same size frames. Previously, Tom's photo had been prominently displayed, while Lily's was small and pushed to the corner. "This photo frame is new," I remarked, and Mother replied, "I threw away the old ones. They reminded me of past mistakes." Her expression no longer held the arrogance of before, but a quiet serenity. On Mother's table was a clay figurine Lily had made at school. "Lily brought it last week," Mother said proudly. "Her talent is amazing." Our family was walking the path of reconciliation and understanding, if not complete forgiveness. From this difficult experience, we had all learned something. And one night, what Lily said to me before bedtime told the whole story. It happened after I had finished reading her a bedtime storybook while sitting by her bedside. "Mom, I'm really glad I used the recording app then. It was scary, but it became the trigger that changed Grandma," she suddenly said. Moonlight illuminated her small face, and a strangely mature light shone in her eyes. "Do you remember that night?" I quietly asked. 2 years had passed since that incident, but I wanted to know how vividly Lily remembered it. Lily nodded. "I remember. It was really dark, cold, and scary. But you know, I remembered what you taught me. Keep evidence when you're in trouble." Gently stroking my daughter's hair, I answered, "That's right. Sometimes it's necessary to stand up for yourself. And people can learn from their mistakes and change. Grandma was angry at first, right? But now she's kind. Last week she put my drawing on her refrigerator. Right next to Tom's," she said happily. Lily nodded slightly and said, "Grandma has really changed, hasn't she?" "Yes. But perhaps the ones who changed the most are all of us," I replied. "I should have protected you earlier." Lily stretched out her arms, wrapped them around my neck and whispered, "It's okay, Mom. You're the best mom in the world." At this child's pure love, tears welled up in my eyes. "Good night, my brave angel," I said, kissing her forehead. That night, as I lay in bed, Michael and I quietly talked. Moonlight through the window bathed our room in silver. He had been reading a book in bed, but he closed it when I came in. "How's Lily?" he gently asked. "She's sleeping well. She talked to me about that night," I told him. Michael exhaled deeply and took my hand. "Sometimes I think," he said, "if that incident hadn't happened, we might never have realized Mother's true nature, or the problems Catherine was carrying." "Yes," I agreed. "Sometimes the darkest moments illuminate the brightest truths. But thinking about Lily that night still hurts my heart. She's strong. Just like you." Michael touched my cheek. Lily is really a smart child. He smiled. Such a small child, able to make the judgment to keep evidence in that situation. Our daughter is special. I smiled back. She has become stronger, and from this experience, she learned to value herself. Catherine is gradually changing too, Michael said. Last week when she called, she asked about your work for the first time. And she said, please give me advice. Yes, she sought my opinion for the first time. It's a small step, but a big change. Outside the window, soft rain had begun to fall. Listening to that sound, Michael drew me closer. These 2 years have been long, he said. But we've grown stronger as a family. Do you really think so? I asked. Sometimes I worried whether everything was truly getting better, or if we were just maintaining a superficial peace. Certainly, he answered firmly. Look, Lily has become more confident. Mother is facing her mistakes and trying to change. Catherine is gradually taking down her walls, and you and I are bound by stronger ties than before, aren't we? I nodded, feeling secure in his arms. That incident was terrifying, but perhaps it was necessary. It became an opportunity to face problems that had continued for generations. In this way, our family weathered the storm and became bound by stronger and more compassionate ties. And I was able to teach my daughter the most important lesson, to value herself, and that truth ultimately prevails. And above all, that unconditional love is the true bond of family. As Martha said, the journey of healing is long and sometimes painful, but beyond that lies a new beginning. Our family's story shows the possibility of healing wounded hearts and creating new understanding. After all, the courage of a 6-year-old girl left alone in a dark park was able to change an entire family. Now, weekend family gatherings are filled with warmth. Lily and Tom play well together as cousins, and Catherine now talks with me as a sister, rather than showing her former sense of superiority. Martha shows equal love to both her grandchildren and sometimes even reflects on her past mistakes with a touch of humor. I really was stubborn back then, she says, and adds, but even an old dog can learn new tricks. We're still not perfect, sometimes we clash. But now there's an attitude of mutual respect and trying to understand each other. Perhaps that's what a true family looks like. One day when Martha visited our house, she brought a small box. Lily, I want to give this to you, she said. Inside the box was an old golden locket. Martha explained, this belonged to my mother, your great-grandmother. She was very strict with me, but in the end, she showed me love. I didn't have the chance to reconcile with my mother. But you and I have that opportunity. Lily carefully took the locket and whispered, it's beautiful. Open it, Martha gently said. When Lily opened the locket, there was a small photograph inside. It was a rare picture of young Martha and her mother smiling together. Martha continued, sometimes families can hurt each other deeply, but that doesn't mean we stop being family. What you taught me is that true love isn't conditional. At those words, tears welled up in my eyes. This might be Mother's true self, a courageous woman who admits her mistakes and tries to change. Grandma, thank you. Lily hugged her grandmother of her own accord for the first time. That scene was deeply etched in my heart. Catherine was changing gradually too. At a Christmas party she quietly said to me, Jenny, seeing your strength made me feel I could be strong too. Stephen now tells me, you don't need to be perfect, just be yourself. She showed her vulnerability for the first time. I was always jealous of you. You live true to yourself and love Lily unconditionally. I was always thinking, I have to try harder, I have to make Tom more excellent, and I put pressure on him. The relationship between Tom and Lily had also improved, and they were developing a friendship as cousins. Catherine laughed as she told us that Tom had become protective of Lily, saying at school, I won't forgive anyone who teases my cousin. Tom has started saying about himself, I don't have to be perfect. That's the greatest gift, she confessed. Martha, our mother, had changed the most over these 2 years. She received ongoing counseling and confronted her own childhood traumas that had caused her biased thinking and behavior. It became clear that her parents had also treated her discriminatively, and she was working hard to break that cycle. My father always prioritized my brother over me, she revealed in therapy sessions. My mother also loved my brother more than me. I always thought, if I become better, I'll be loved. Martha had sold her previous home and moved to a smaller apartment. She had partially restored relationships with some of her former friends, but many people had not completely forgiven her actions, and she couldn't recover her previous social life. I want to believe people can change, she was saying under her new psychotherapist. I'm willing to do anything to repair my relationship with my grandchildren. Our relationship with Martha was being carefully and gradually rebuilt. The first few months consisted only of short, supervised visits, but now we were having dinner at our house once a month. Lily too was beginning to build a new relationship with Martha. Grandma, I can't solve this problem. She would show her homework, and Martha would now patiently explain. She no longer uttered comparative words like, Tom could do this. In this way, Our family had overcome a great ordeal and begun to build new bonds. The courage of a 6-year-old daughter who was locked out in a dark park that night became the catalyst for changing the entire family. The journey to complete healing might still be long, but I believe relationships can be repaired if there is courage to face the truth, admit mistakes, and try to change. I cherish the words Lily says every night before she sleeps. Mom, I've become stronger, haven't I? Yes, you have become stronger. And our family has become stronger too. Sometimes the darkest moments illuminate the brightest truths. And above all, we learned that unconditional love is the true bond of family.